Good day. In your series of videos on lesson planning, you will see that I have never spoken about your lesson introduction. And I know that when students plan lessons, this is the part that they get very excited about. They choose a YouTube video, they get a creative introduction, and then the lesson goes south from there. The best advice that I could give you is keep the lesson introduction to the very last thing that you plan. Although it is the first thing almost on your lesson planning template, please keep it to last and motivation. It so often happens that we spend all our energy on the introduction and then the rest of the lesson falls flat. While the introduction is only there to serve a few minor purposes. The first is to grab the student's attention. The second is to test prior knowledge. And the third is to, as I've repeatedly explained, open the right folder in their minds. To close the maths folder where they've been the previous period and open the geography folder where they are with you now. Do not spend more than 5 minutes on an introduction. I've seen so many lessons where students spend half of the period on the introduction and they never get around to teaching the new content, which is actually what the lesson is about. Be very conscientious about the amount of effort you put into the introduction to not make it too big and too flamboyant so that the rest of your lesson does not meet up to the standard. When you use a YouTube video, please think very carefully. Look critically at that video. Is it relevant to the students? Please look through the whole video because very often you only look at the beginning and you think this is very cool and then something happens in the middle of the video and you have to quickly stop it. Ask yourself, is it relevant to the student's age? Is it really relevant to the topic I'm trying to teach? I will not choose a YouTube video with a class full of Chinese children to show in South Africa because it's not relevant. It does not speak to their context. So make sure that the people who are on the YouTube video you are using are in the same context as your students. Don't use videos that are too long. Children get bored easily. And if you use a video, please guide the students before the video begins on what they must look for. Because I might show you a YouTube video and all that you pay attention to is the outfits that the people of the video are wearing. While actually I want you to look at body language. You're not going to know what to look for if I do not tell you. So please pay very close attention should you choose to use YouTube. Context is very important. You need to create the context of your lesson through the introduction. So if I went through your introduction, I have to be so curious. What is coming next? What is he or she going to teach me today? And that is the sole purpose of an introduction. So please save the introduction till last when you do your planning so that you can know what the introduction must introduce. If you have not planned the content, you've not written the lesson outcomes, you've not planned the activities, you will not be able to choose an introduction that will be relevant. In that case, the introduction is going to lead the lesson instead of the lesson leading the introduction.